Oh, my sea stars, it's so lovely to meet you. My name is Mermaid Orielle, and this is where I live, on this beautiful shoreline. Do you know what a shoreline is? Well, a shoreline is where the water meets the land, and this is the one I like to call my home. This is in Dana Point. Dana Point is located in Southern California on the west coast of the United States. Now, earlier this year, we had this amazing thing happen here. Earlier, our waters were glowing. That's right, glowing. Now, how is this possible, you ask? Well, today I'm going to tell you about these little creatures that made that possible. Plankton is just a really fancy way of saying tiny animal or plant. Plankton are some of my very best friends. They are everywhere, and I think they're really awesome. Now, there are two types of plankton. There is a plant plankton and an animal plankton. Now, plant plankton is known as phytoplankton. Phytoplankton is a really big word, so here's how I like to remember it. Phytoplankton and plant plankton. Both of them start with the letter P. So phytoplankton is plant plankton. Now, the other type of plankton is zooplankton. Zooplankton, here's how I like to remember it. What do you go and see when you go to the zoo? That's right, you see animals. So zooplankton is animal plankton, and phytoplankton is plant plankton. So this year, we had the largest bloom we have seen in 10 years. Now, what is a bloom, you say? Well, think about it. What else blooms? That's right, flowers bloom. So like flowers, plankton bloom, meaning that they spread and they grow and they get everywhere. So, like I said earlier, you always have a friend if you're friends with plankton because they're everywhere. Now, plankton are so tiny that there can be thousands of them in a single drop of water. Now, that's a lot of plankton, right? Now, remember how I said it was the largest bloom we've seen in a decade, in 10 years? We had so much glowing shoreline that it reached from San Diego to Santa Barbara. That's crazy. That's over 200 miles of glowing shoreline. Plant plankton are so tiny that they're at the bottom of the food chain. However, they don't need to eat to survive. They just need energy. They actually just get their energy from the sun. Now, that's photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is when they use the energy from the sun and a natural gas in the air called carbon dioxide to make energy. And a side effect of this is creating oxygen. Now, zooplankton, even though they're still plankton, they are slightly above plant plankton in the food chain, meaning that zooplankton actually eat phytoplankton. And smaller fish like anchovies eat zooplankton, and bigger fish like tuna eat smaller fish. Now, wait a second. Doesn't that mean that we're connected to these tiny beings too? Think about it. If we eat tuna, and tuna eats smaller fish, and smaller fish eat zooplankton, and zooplankton eat plant plankton, whoa, that's a crazy food chain. But it's crazy to think how us humans, well, half humans, are connected to these tiny little creatures, and that's all possible through this food chain. Now, even though glowing is super awesome, unfortunately, not all plankton are able to glow. Only certain kinds of plant plankton are able to make this happen. This is all possible through a special chemical in their body that allows for bioluminescence to happen. Now, I know that's a really big word, so we're gonna go ahead and break that down. Bio means life, and lumen means light. So bioluminescent means life that lights up. Pretty crazy, right? Oh, it's not that big of a word. Now, if you wanted to go see this happening during the day, you'd technically still be able to see them, but it wouldn't look how you would expect. Now, they don't glow during the day. And that kind of makes sense when you think about it, right? Well, think about this. If you turn on a flashlight during the day, it's not going to make that big of a difference, just like plankton. During the day, they actually give off a reddish hue. And this is called red tide. It's during the evenings and the nighttime that they glow blue and green. Now, plankton don't just glow because it's pretty, even though it's pretty cool. The word plankton, the root word is plankto, meaning wanderer or drifter, meaning these guys can't swim. It's really hard being at the bottom of the food chain when you're just relying on the current of the water to tell you where to go. So the special ones that are able to glow don't just light up because it's pretty, even though it is a pretty cool power to have. Glowing scares off the bigger animals, because I don't know if I would want to eat something that lit up, or tells their fellow friends, hey guys, I'm going this way. Even though plankton are my very best friends, there is one special one that is my absolute favorite. Now these guys are called dinoflagellates. Now I know that's a big word, so we're gonna go ahead and break that down. Dinos means whirling, and flagellum means whip. These guys, even though they're plant plankton who are only able to wander and drift, these ones, dinoflagellates, are able to swim. They whip and they whirl and they spin away from their predators, which I think is really awesome because they sound like the stronger ones of the plankton, right? Even though we were able to break down that word, they're also known as, you ready? As sea sparkles. What? How crazy is that? There's a sea creature known as a sea sparkle? Oh, if I could change my name to Sea Sparkle, I totally would. So remember that dinoflagellates are plant plankton that are not only able to glow, they're able to swim, and they're known as sea sparkles. Now, when plankton's life is over, it doesn't just disappear. They actually clump together, and with the wind and the water, they're able to make seafoam. Do you know what seafoam is? Well, think about it. When you go to the beach, and it kind of looks like someone just took a bath, and you see all those soapy bubbles on the surface, that's seafoam. So you are still able to see plankton, even if it's not glowing and even if it's not red tide. So seafoam is made up of plankton, the powers of the wind, and what's in the water. Isn't that crazy? What? Now, while plankton do a lot for the ocean, they actually do a lot for us too. Now, plant plankton, it's a good thing they're so tiny because there's over 200,000 types of plant plankton. That means that they make up 25% of all of Earth's vegetation. So 1/4 of all of our plants are actually plankton in the water. Now, remember how earlier I was talking about photosynthesis? And photosynthesis is when they use the energy from the sun and a natural gas in the air called carbon dioxide. Well, there's a side effect to this, and that side effect is oxygen. Now, we breathe in oxygen, but we breathe out carbon dioxide. And because plants, like our friends the plant planktons, are able to do so much photosynthesis, they also make a lot of oxygen. Now, us humans, we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. Now, because there's so much plant plankton and there's so much of them doing photosynthesis and they create so much oxygen, and there's 25% of our plants are these little guys, scientists believe that they can make up almost to 50 up to 85% of the oxygen we breathe. Isn't that crazy? That these guys, we're not just connected to them by the food chain. They actually make up a lot of the oxygen we breathe today. Now, where can you see these magical bioluminescent plankton? Not just Southern California, right? Nope, these guys are everywhere. California, Florida, Japan, Taiwan, Malta, even Puerto Rico at Bioluminescent Bay. Humans will actually take their kayaks or their boats out into the glowing shorelines and make waves to make the plankton glow even brighter. Isn't that crazy that all over the world you can see these glowing creatures? Well, that's because we're all connected. So myself and the other merfolk at Shiro's Entertainment, All of us, you, me, even our friends, the plankton, are all connected by the same waters. We all swim in the same ocean. My name is Mermaid Orielle with Shiro's Entertainment, and I'm so happy I got to talk to you about my best friends, the bioluminescent plankton.